I was looking at a photo the other day, just a scan of a book jacket, and it triggered this very specific memory.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know that feeling when you're in a conversation with someone you love, maybe a parent or a partner, and you physically feel the ground shift under you? Like
Mm-hmm.
you walked in just to talk about, I don't know, holiday plans, and suddenly you feel like the worst person on earth and you have no idea how you got there.
It's the fog. That's actually the acronym we're going to be talking about today. But it describes that feeling perfectly. It's that disorientation. You
Mhm.
just lose track of your own needs because the air gets so heavy with their disappointment.
Right. And we usually just write that off as, relationships. We think, oh, mom's just being dramatic or my partner's just a little sensitive. We internalize it.
Of course.
But today we are doing a deep dive on a source that claims that sinking feeling isn't random. It's structural. We are looking at the cover and the front matter of the Arabic edition of Emotional Blackmail. The title is Aliptizaz al-Latifi. And honestly, I have never seen a book cover that looks more like a weapon than this one.
It's striking, isn't it? Usually these kinds of self-help covers are, soft, pastels, maybe some peaceful imagery. This one is aggressive. It's designed to be a diagnostic tool.
A diagnostic tool, that's exactly it.
Yeah, if you look at the source image of the front cover, it lays out this mechanism of control so clearly, you almost don't need to read the book to understand the trap.
That's our mission today. We are not reading the whole book, we're reading the cover. Because the publishers have printed the entire code of conduct for manipulators right there on the jacket. I want to start with the subtitle. It's inside this, shattered-looking graphic in the center.
Right. The subtitle reads, "When those around you use fear, obligation, and guilt to manipulate you."
And in the Arabic text, those words are
Al-Kaf, Al-Ilzam, and Al-Shur Biltham.
fear, obligation, guilt. FOG. There it is, the fog.
Here's the fog.
But looking at those three words, they feel almost too broad. I mean, everyone feels fear or guilt sometimes. What makes this a mechanism and not just, life?
The key is the title itself, Blackmail.
Mm.
The author, Dr. Susan Forward, is arguing these aren't just passing moves. They're livers. They're tools.
Okay.
So think about fear al-Kaf in a relationship. We're not necessarily talking about fear of physical violence, though that can be a part of it. We're talking about the fear of the relationship just ending, the fear of chaos.
A fear of the scene. I think that's what keeps so many people compliant. It's not that they think their partner is going to hit them. It's that they know if they say no, the next 3 days are going to be miserable.
Exactly. The cold shoulder, the slamming doors, the sigh.
So the fear is really fear of disrupting the status quo.
And that is a powerful silencer. It trains you. It trains you to walk on eggshells. But I think the second word in that triad, that's the one that's even more insidious. Obligation. Right. It implies a binding duty.
Yeah.
In a lot of cultures, and definitely in the context of the Middle East where this edition is published, obligation is a virtue. You should feel obligated to your family. You should support your spouse.
That's where it gets so tricky. Because if I help my friend move a couch, that's kindness. But if I do it because I feel like I have no choice, that's obligation. The action is the same, but the feeling inside is totally different.
Precisely. And emotional blackmail takes that healthy social glue, we help each other,
Yeah.
and it weaponizes it. It turns, I want to do this for you, into you owe this to me.
It creates a debt that can never be paid.
Which leads right into the third lever, guilt. Al-Shur Biltham,
The closer.
the enforcer, right? If fear stops you from saying no, and obligation tells you it's your duty to say yes, guilt is what punishes you if you even think about resisting. It's the internal police officer.
Oh, wow. To see them listed like that, it's a system. You can see how a manipulator would just cycle through them. If fear doesn't work, they try obligation. If that doesn't work, they hit you with guilt. It's a closed loop.
And the cover is explicit about the goal, to manipulate you. You'll tell them it's not an accident. It's a strategy.
Speaking of strategies, I want to move to the part of the cover that actually gave me chills. It's that red banner at the very top. Usually that space is for, the #1 bestseller or something.
Yeah.
But here they've printed 3 sentences in quotation marks.
The script.
It's as literally a script. I was reading these and I realized I have heard these exact words, word for word. It's so demoralizing to realize the intense personal arguments you've had are just stock phrases.
It kind of demystifies the drama, though, doesn't it?
It does. Let's look at the first one. If you really loved me.
Isa kunta tuhibuni hakwan. the ultimate trump card.
It is. If you really loved me, you'd skip your friend's wedding for me. If you really loved me, you wouldn't ask me about the money.
It's a logical fallacy, but it is emotionally devastating because it equates compliance with love. That's
Right.
the whole trick.
Right. It's a binary. Either you do exactly what I want or you don't love me. There's no room for, I love you, but I disagree with you on this.
It holds the entire relationship hostage, and it targets that fear lever we just talked about,
Yeah.
the fear of being seen as unloving.
And it's so hard to defend against if you say, of course I love you, but you've already lost. You're arguing on their terms.
You're on the defensive. Okay, so what's the second quote on the cover?
The second one is, after all I did for you.
وَتَعْكُ مَا فَلْتُهُ مِنْ أَجْلِكَ, the ledger. We're back to obligation.
I feel like this one always comes out when you try to set a boundary. You say, Mom, I can't come over this Sunday. And the reply is, after all I sacrificed for you, you can't give me one afternoon.
It weaponizes history. The manipulator brings up these past good deeds, which you probably thought were just acts of love, and reveals they were actually loans. And the bank is calling.
But the interest rate is infinite. That's the problem. You can never be even. The debt is emotional, so it's bottomless.
Which is why it's so exhausting. You're just running on this treadmill of repayment that they control. And if you try to get off, well, that brings us to the third line.
Why do you act so selfishly? Or, I found the Arabic phrasing here really interesting. Limatha tatasaraf bi ananiya shadida. It's more like, why do you act with such severe selfishness?
That one word, shadida, severe, extreme, is doing so much heavy lifting. It's not just that you're being a little inconsiderate. It's that you are pathologically, severely selfish. It's a character flaw.
This is the one that really messes with your head. Because usually when someone says this to you, you're not actually being selfish. You're doing something totally normal, like wanting an hour to yourself.
But by labeling it severe selfishness, they shift the argument. You're no longer talking about the specific issue. Now you're debating your moral character.
And you immediately pivot to, I'm not selfish. Look at all the things I do for everyone.
Boom, you're distracted. You're defending your soul instead of defending your boundary.
It's just a diversion tactic.
Completely. And the only way to prove you're not selfish in that moment is to give in.
It's so cynical when you lay it out like this. You have the setup, if you loved me, the hook, after all I did, and the punishment, you're selfish. It's a complete algorithm.
It is.
Yeah.
And seeing it printed on a mass market paperback is validating, but also a little chilling. It means this isn't unique to your family. They're following a script.
So I want to zoom out a bit. We're looking at an Arabic translation from Jarir Bookstore, which is huge. But the author, Dr. Susan Forward, is American.
She is. She's a major figure in this space. She also wrote Men Who Hate Women and The Women Who Love Them. Her specialty isn't just relationships. It's power dynamics. It's toxicity.
And the fact that this book travels so well that it was translated into Arabic, that tells us something, right? About how universal this is.
Absolutely.
That's something I wanted to get into. We found a detail on the copyright page, another one of the images we have, and it has this standard legal disclaimer about the limitations inherent in the nature of translation.
Standard boilerplate, yeah.
Sure, it's boilerplate, but let's think about it for a second. We're talking about really deep, visceral emotions, guilt, duty, fear. Do those things, do they actually translate perfectly? Is the guilt a son feels in Chicago the same as the Al-Shur Bilthan a son feels in Riyadh?
That's the million-dollar question. I mean, culture definitely shapes how these levers work. In a very individualistic culture, obligation might feel like an attack on your freedom.
Right.
But in a more collective culture, obligation is the fabric of society. So to call it blackmail in that context is a pretty radical act.
That is a great point. In the U.S., saying you're selfish is an insult. In other places, prioritizing yourself over the group might be seen as a genuine moral failing. So for this book to exist in translation using a word like ibtizaz, blackmail, it's challenging that cultural norm.
Exactly. It's saying, hey, even if the culture says you owe them something, this specific way of enforcing that debt is toxic. It validates the individual's pain.
So while the vocabulary of guilt might change, the toxicity is universal. A knot in your stomach feels the same in any language.
It does. When someone makes you feel small so they can feel big, that just transcends borders.
And it transcends time, too. We notice the dates. The English original is from 1997. This Arabic edition is from 2015. That's almost a 20-year gap. The script hasn't changed.
The technology has changed.
Yeah.
Now we get these scripts over text messages. If you really loved me, might be a passive-aggressive Instagram story. But the psychological architecture is identical. Our emotional operating systems have not been updated. We are still susceptible to FOG.
It just makes me think about the person picking this book up. Imagine walking into a bookstore, seeing this jagged cover, reading those three quotes, and just that moment of recognition. Oh my God, that's my life.
And that moment is the first step. That's how you break the spell. You can't fight a fog. You can't fight a vague feeling of being a bad person. But you can fight a specific technique called emotional blackmail. Naming it shrinks it.
It turns a monster into a mechanic.
I like that. It turns a monster into a mechanic. Because then you can stop taking it so personally. When someone says, after all I did for you, you don't have to crumble. You can just think, ah, there it is, the obligation lever. I was wondering when that would show up.
You can detach, you can observe the conversation instead of drowning in it.
You can say to yourself, I am currently being guilt-tripped, which is very different from, I am a guilty person. That distinction saves your sanity.
So we've unpacked the FRG, fear, obligation, guilt. We've decoded the script, the three accusations that target your security, your sense of debt, and your character.
And we've seen that this is a cross-cultural, timeless thing. It's a human vulnerability.
So here's where I want to leave things. We always talk about communication skills as learning how to speak better. But this deep dive makes me think the most important skill might be learning how to listen better, to hear the subtext.
To hear the structure behind the words.
Right. So for everyone listening, the next time you are in a heated moment and you feel that fog rolling in, that mix of fear and guilt, just pause. Listen to the specific words coming at you. If you hear, if you really loved me, or after all I did, or you're so selfish, just stop. Don't defend yourself.
Yeah.
Just recognize that the person you're talking to, they've switched to autopilot. They're reading from a script.
And you don't have to read the lines they've written for you.
Exactly. You can go off script. Thanks for exploring this with us. It's heavy stuff, but sometimes looking at the dark covers can shed the most light.
Always a pleasure.
See you on the next deep dive.